Serikali hii ambayo imeongozwa na Mheshimiwa Rais William Ruto ndiyo itakuwa serikali ya kumaliza kutoka Kenya hii shida na aibu ya uhalifu na kutojali sheria.
We have to work hard so that we can justify the faith, the commitment, the sacrifice you have made to make us who we are.
I am really, Your Excellency, very impressed by the Kidik style of management. Akiamua ni hapa, hata kama ikuta anapitia hapa.
Ladies and gentlemen of the press, I've seen you here. And let me say, this is a very important meeting. And our coming here has been preceded by a meeting of the top security chiefs and other agencies. We have been meeting since 8 o'clock. And we have requested our officers from the counties to be in attendance so that they can get instructions on the way forward on matters drug abuse, drug and substance abuse. President William Ruto, who chairs the National Security Council, has given very clear and unequivocal instructions to us that the matter of drug and substance abuse has reached alarming proportions and is no longer a social issue, but a serious threat to our national security. The government has therefore decided that this matter will be dealt with as an existential threat to the very existence of our republic because of what poison disguised as alcohol has done to our people. You are aware a few weeks ago in Kirinyaga, innocent people bought unknowingly poison thinking it is alcohol, and over 23 people are now reported dead and others have gone blind. There are many other unreported deaths across the country and the destruction of our most productive population, our young people. There has been challenges of enforcement. There has been challenges of licensing. And the problem has evolved into a serious national security threat. To start with the advent of devolution, the 2010 Constitution conferred the powers to license alcoholic drinks to the counties, and that responsibility was being done by NACADA and the national government in a very responsible manner. Since the advent of devolution, counties have licensed almost every other establishment in our market centers and trading centers across the country to be an establishment for the sale of alcohol. Again, following the advent of second generational alcohol, poison disguised as alcohol has found its way to these establishments that are already licensed. Again, traders who are not very nice people have produced the same drinks as counterfeit and put them into the market. Our officers have had a very difficult time dealing with these issues because those establishments are licensed by the councils. But under the direction of the President, a very big team comprising of our security officers, our PSs, those who deal with KRA, those who deal with CAB, have come up with very serious and stringent measures to curb this menace and bring sanity to our republic. We have called these officers here today to get instructions that will be presented to them and the country by our CS for Interior and National Administration, Professor Kindiki. And all I want to say to the officers is that the instructions from the President are very clear. You must and shall implement those instructions effectively, efficiently, without failure. And as you are aware, there is a new policy direction that failure will no longer be transferred to another county. Where officers have failed to perform their duties by acts of omission or commission, they will not be transferred to other counties, because that is essentially transferring failure, and all counties are part of this republic. So, as we appreciate our officers for the good job that they are doing, admittedly, crime has been controlled to what would be called acceptable levels. And I want to say last Christmas, for the first time in many years, the people of Kenya had peace. And I want to congratulate the CS Interior and the National Police Service for a very good job that they have done. Serious crimes have been controlled, issues of robbery with violence has been controlled, carjackings has been controlled, and even in banditry prone areas of the North Rift, there is sanity, the guns are silenced. And to a large extent, almost 80% we are successful, and I want to take this opportunity on behalf of the President to tell our officers, well done. The remaining 20% must be pursued relentlessly until we bring sanity to our country. In discharge of our duties, 90% of our officers are very good, they are very professional, and they are very committed to their work, and they are doing a very good job. However, like in the rest of the society, we have a certain percentage of officers who collaborate with criminals, who collect bribes, and who undermine the work that the National Police Service is supposed to do. It's just a question of time before we catch up with you. I want to encourage those professional and committed officers who are doing a good job to continue doing so. I want to urge the few who don't do what they are supposed to do to live out to their oath of office, to reform and just carry out their work professionally, because that is the responsibility that has been given to them. So in implementing the measures today, the measures that will be spelled out, those are instructions from the President and Commander-in-Chief of the Defense Forces, who has a mandate from the people of Kenya. And that is why we have called all the officers here from across the country. And I think before Professor Kindiki can read out those measures, I think it will be good to listen to a few of you, to tell us the challenges that you are facing, to tell us what is happening in your areas of jurisdiction, and to affirm your commitment to do what is right for our country. I must say, there are certain areas the officers responsible must pull up their socks. The team from Kajiado, the border points of Namanga and Loitoktok are an entry point of illegal ethanol and other contraband goods. And neither the officers there have slept on duty, or they are part of the problem. The officers from Migori County, there are challenges at the entry point of Isibania. The officers in Busia, the officers from Bungoma, those entry points. Again, the officers from Marsabit and Isiolo. The Moyale entry point is responsible for the amount of bangi, cannabis sativa that is in the country. So those officers from those counties I've mentioned, are they here? Please stand up so that we just see you. Those counties I've mentioned, Narok, Kajiado, Migori, Marsabit, Isiolo, Bungoma, and Busia. You have to pull up your socks. You have to pull up your socks. In our meeting this morning, we have asked the IG to give you a chance. Many of us were of the idea that we need to make changes. But we have decided that you'll be given a chance, and I've decided to tell you publicly so that even the press here can hear. Ethanol, bangi must not come through our borders because you are there and you have work to do. And we are also going to talk to the officers of KRI, KEBS, NACADA, and all the others. That is our weakest link in this fight, especially on bangi and ethanol. And you are there. And those contraband goods are coming to this country to kill our people when you are there. You are in uniform, you have the law on your side, and you simply don't do what you need to do. I'm telling you on behalf of the President and the government of the Republic of Kenya, it will not be business as usual. And when those goods come to this country, you shall be held responsible. Please sit down. I think PS Interior, if we can have a few, we wanted to, the press had requested that Professor Kindiki can read the statement at 11. What time is it now? How many? So we can have a few, maybe PS Internal Security, you can give a few officers, they can tell us what they think. And then Professor Kindiki will read the statement. Then we'll ask the press to take a break. Then we'll be left here now to talk about our own internal things that are of a security nature after the CS Interior has read the measures for the country, because they are for the officers and also for the people of Kenya, so that everybody knows what will happen going forward starting today. But this war must be fought. The government is in charge, and the government has never lost a war and is not going to lose this one. A decision has been made, and it must work, and we must bring sanity back to this country. See, PS?
Thank you, Your Excellency. I will, in no particular order, just call on a few of the officers to speak. So the first one would be the Regional Commissioner for Rift Valley. Just a few of the issues that we have picked, that you want to bring up. Then followed by the Regional Police Commander for Central, and then the County Commander, Police Commander in charge of Marsabit, and then the County Commissioner for Migori. If we have any minute left before 11, then we'll get the fifth person to speak. I hope there's a microphone around. So we start with, is the RC Rift Valley in the house? So let's have the microphone there. Thank you.
Morning, sir.
Morning.
Thank you very much, sir. First, I would like to take this opportunity to thank you, sir, for inviting us to this serious meeting. We feel privileged and honored to be here, Your Excellency. Thank you very much, sir. Sir, maybe just to highlight a few issues, I would like right from the onset to inform you that we are determined and focused to deal with this problem once and for all. We are ready to receive the instructions, and we shall implement the instructions to the letter. Sir, as you rightly mentioned, we have an issue with ethanol. So there is need for us to have a discussion, a very serious one, on whether ethanol is useful in this country vis-a-vis the danger or the disadvantages that are there. And if we allow the ethanol to be within the country, then we require very stringent control measures on how to go about this particular substance. Because what is killing us is ethanol. It is not the changa, the buza, the kangara. It is indeed ethanol which is mixed, and it is consumed by the young population of our country. And it is becoming a very serious problem, sir. Secondly, and I don't know whether this one might elicit controversy, but however, allow me, sir, to mention it. Perhaps there is also need to reintroduce low-cost alcohol in this country. I think Kenya Breweries tried. Perhaps we can look at that one because we seem to have an insatiable appetite and inclination towards alcohol. Maybe there is need to relook at that proposal. The other one, sir, is I'm requesting on behalf of colleagues, if we can have serious engagement with the prosecution and the courts with regard to this management of this problem. Because in the recent past, we have had judgments and situations which negate the fight against this particular problem. Like, for example, one roll of bang is no longer an offense. Anything less than 5 liters of changa will not be able to go to court. And some of the substances that eventually end up preparing some of this is not considered to be illegal. So some of these things, sir, they negate our efforts, and they will continue becoming a serious problem in the fight or in the achievement of the objectives the government has set forth in order to eradicate this particular problem. Sir, there is also need, as you rightly put it, we need a framework between the national government and the county government in order to work together so that we can contain, because there is a lot of competition, rivalry, and conflicts as we move forward to tackle this problem. Finally, sir, I think we have another serious problem. This is the issue of integrity and conflict of interest amongst everybody. If we can contain this problem, as you rightly put it, that we take severe action against officers or individuals who are found culpable, perhaps we will be able to move forward. So, sir, with those few remarks, sir, once again, I wish to indicate that we are determined, we are focused, and ready to pursue the government's objectives in ensuring that this thing is brought to an end. Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you, RC. RC is actually the chair of the regional commissioners, the 8 of them. So next is the regional police commander from Central. If something has been mentioned, you don't need to speak to it again. Just bring us what is unique. Proceed.
Your Excellency, sir, my name is Lydia Ligami. I'm the Regional Police Commander Central. So much has been said. Mine is just to emphasize multi-agency approach. Let's not have blame games. Let's face the problem. Where we are going wrong, if it's the police, let's face the problem. If it is KRA, let them face the problem. If it is KEBS and anti-counterfeit, let us face the problem. And most important, let ODPP work so closely with the police to guide, so that instead of us having loopholes in the law, we should try to seal the law so that we win the fight. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Next is a county commissioner from Migori. And maybe you speak to what is coming in from Tanzania, if at all. Yes.
Thank you, sir. I'm David Gitonga, County Commissioner, Migori. One, I would want to say that the challenge has been lack of partnership between the two states. It is true, they grow badly, but they say the market is in Kenya. We've come up with an elaborate measure to ensure that we're able to partner with them, the security officers from that other side, so that we can be able to counter the threat. And I think, sir, you had given us authority, and we are at an advanced stage. Number two, we have the challenge of security. As I'm studying here, sir, I can confirm that there is an officer, assistant chief, who was attacked by brewers, and up to date that person has not been arrested. So I would request, if it is possible, we need to explore the mechanism in which we can have, as earlier planned. I remember during the Rate Mechoke's time, chiefs were to be given 5 APs for security. That will enable them be able to move about and even be able to raid the dens. The other issue is a lack of security rules. In our area, we have a wide porous border, and we do not have security roads. The officers cannot also be able to move around and also even man the areas. So the element of that border needs to be looked at. The other issue that we need to look at is the issue of, with several gazetted police stations, police posts, which are not even equipped. They do not have officers, and they are just there, they are gazetted. So even if they are, those are the entries, especially if you look at areas like Suna West, Ntimaru, and Mabera. There is nothing the officers can be able to do. They are far away. In fact, we find some area sub-counties with about 3 sub-counties manned by 1 sub-county police commander, 1 DCI, 1 CIC. All those are challenges which are making it a bit difficult for the work to move on. The other issue that needs to be addressed, and it is a challenge so that we can be able to work on it, is the issue of the judiciary and ODPP. You'll find our officers have been able to arrest the traders. But at the end of the day, it has to go to the government chemist for tests. At the end of the day, you might end up having confiscated about even 10,000 tons of ethanol, but at the end of the day, it will be tested, it becomes water. So there comes an issue of even camps and counterfeit and KRA. The other issue I would also want to present, sir, is the issue of public-private partnership. We've seen we can be able to check on brewing if we can be able to engage stakeholders in the brewing industry. For instance, all is not lost in Migori. In Mabera sub-county, we have illicit brew-free sub-location and also a location. What we've done is that we've been able to partner with Kenya breweries. They support the reformed brewers. They provide them with the jerry cans for the senator brews. Then they are provided, they pay for them in installment. The county government waives the fees such that you can even be able to they pay for maybe in installment. Then from there, we've been able to move ahead, and I think we're doing very well. I think with that one, I think
thank you.
We are not lost.
So then the county police commander for Marsabit, and then lastly, I would ask the RCIO Coast to close the session. Thank you.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Patrick Mwakio. I'm the county police commander in Marsabit. I want to say that we've got a few challenges, but last year in November we sat as a team and we put strategies in place, and I believe these strategies have really helped us because we are now working as a multi-sectoral team. We've been able to arrest a few consignments coming from Ethiopia. That is cannabis sativa and also heroin and cocaine. We share a very long porous border with our neighboring country, about 600 kilometers. Our officers are determined and they are all out to ensure that everything is in order and crime is managed effectively, sir. That is what I can say as for now. And I want to assure you that our officers will keep up the good work they are doing and bring everything to place. Thank you so much, Your Excellency.
The RCIO cost.
Good morning, Your Excellency. My name is Adam Guyo, the RCIO cost. I've just reported 3 days ago. I took over the office and we embarked on working together with other teams. We've made several arrests of drug traffickers, the peddlers, and we are still continuing, and I promise that we'll perform and we are up to the task. Thank you.
Thank you very much. I think we'll be able to respond and also enter into a discussion after we are through with the press. And I want to say, Coast, well done. Please do your job. We were there the other week, and the leaders are abusing us because of saying there is a problem with the coast. They must live with the truth. They want us to pretend that there is no problem at the coast. And when we call for a meeting to discuss a serious problem of the people they lead, they don't come. But they want to go to press conference to say that there is no problem. There is a problem at the coast, and it's a big one. And our officers will do what they need to do. The leaders who want to join in can join in. Those who don't wish to join in, it's okay. And as we are never distracted by those abuses and irresponsible talk, because we must do our job. And one of the things that this administration does is to be truthful. We don't hide the truth. Where there is a problem, we say there's a problem. Where we have a problem with our officers, we say we have a problem, so that we can be able to deal with it. So I think what we do, let us have the statement read, then we will request the press now to proceed and file their stories, and we'll be left now here for an in-house meeting to discuss security matters, operational matters that obviously we cannot discuss in a full view of the cameras, not because we have anything to hide, but because of the nature of security operations. They are confidential. So let me take this opportunity to welcome our CS for National Security, Professor Kindiki, to come and communicate to the people of Kenya. Karibu, Professor.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, Deputy President of the Republic of Kenya. My colleagues from the Cabinet, Attorney General Justin Muturi, and my sister, Cabinet Secretary Rebecca Miano, and all the senior officers present here from all ranks, PSs, Inspector General of Police, the DIGs, RCs, county commissioners, and the rest of the senior officers present here. Your Excellency, sir, mine is to communicate the decision of the government of Kenya to notify the people of Kenya of government action aimed at eradicating illicit brews, drugs, and substance abuse in the country. His Excellency Dr. William Ruto, the President, among other things, was elected on the premise of restoring the dignity to the people of Kenya, especially those at the bottom of the socio-economic pyramid. To do so, the President identified key areas that require radical legal, policy, administrative, and operational reforms. Illicit brews, drugs, and substance abuse, majorly among teenagers, the youth, and even the elderly, are not only a grave social concern, but is now an existential threat to the well-being and sustainable future of our country. These brews, drugs, and substances are directly and negatively impacting on economic growth and development, ruining lives and livelihoods, occasioning family disintegration, facilitating crime, and the spread of disease, including HIV and AIDS, and indeed, fellow Kenyans, brews that are illegal, drugs, and substances are now a major national security threat and also a threat to public health across the country. Every household in Kenya today hosts and can relate to incidences of alcohol and drug abuse. No family has been spared. If your family has been spared, your neighbor's family has not been spared. It is on this basis that the President assigned the Deputy President, His Excellency Rigathi Gachagua, the role of leading the war on illicit brews, drugs, and substance abuse. Strategic consultative regional meetings bringing together senior security officers, national government administration officers, members of parliament and county assemblies, lead ministries and agencies, religious groups, opinion leaders, and the community have been held in Mount Kenya region, Lower Eastern region, Rift Valley, and Coast region. Key regulators within the pharmaceutical and veterinary fields have been activated to similarly moderate the illegal and irregular use of regulated prescription drugs that have now begun to find their way among youth in Mombasa and Northeastern, and are now a leading cause of substance abuse. And this demonstrates that the problem is now essentially a national problem. No region, no part of the country is free. From these consultations, gaps have been identified and progress is now being made on the legislative, administrative, institutional, and enforcement fronts. 11 counties are at different stages of developing model alcoholic drinks control laws, with Nyandarua County having led the pace in securing full enactment of a now enhanced licensing and enforcement framework. Law enforcement officials found complicit in the manufacture and trade of illicit alcohol and substances have been severely disciplined already. The screening, rehabilitation, and reintegration of victims of alcohol and drug abuse has also been enhanced. But there have been some drawbacks. Last month, the country lost more than 20 lives in one village in Kirinyaga County to poison packaged as alcohol by the merchants of death. This, fellow Kenyans, is unacceptable. This trajectory must be contained before it escalates into a national disaster. For this reason, the government of Kenya has today, under the direction of His Excellency the President, convened all regional and county national government administration officers and security teams, including county police commanders from the Kenya Police Service, the Administration Police Service, and the Directorate of Criminal Investigations, backed by relevant sector regulators. The consultations have not only identified the internal failures and fractured approaches that have facilitated these vices, but similarly reiterated the critical role that the national administration and security architecture will now be required to play in the restoration of the dignity and utility to a generation that would otherwise be lost. As previously indicated, the trade, consumption, and abuse of illicit alcohol, narcotic drugs, and psychotropic substances now ranks as one of the 5 key national security threats that include terrorism, banditry, and livestock rustling, cultural, religious, and political extremism, and climate change. And therefore, this war that we announce commencing today is a war about the future of Kenya. This war that we launch here today is about the viability and sustainability of our republic. We have therefore the duty to communicate to all members of the public that the war that we launch today is not just a time-bound operation, it's a perpetual war which will continue as long as Kenya exists, or as long as the problem exists, whichever comes earlier. Therefore, where we have placed terrorists who plot to harm our country, the organized criminals terrorizing parts of our country, pretending to be cattle thieves, where we have placed religious, cultural, and political extremists who have hurt the country so badly in the past, including the recent event in Shakahola. This is the same place we have placed all those in Kenya who are engaged in one way or the other in the manufacture, distribution, sale, and I dare say even consumption of illicit drugs, narcotics, psychotropic substances, and illicit liquor. And since this is about the future of the country, this is squarely a national security matter. This statement has taken time to situate why we are here. Right from the instructions of the President to his deputy, to the directives of the President through the National Security Council, and the rest of us. Therefore, any officer present here or watching from elsewhere who think this is the usual time-bound, periodic security operations is in for a rude shock. As I said, what we start today will continue as long as Kenya exists, or as long as the problem exists, whichever comes earlier. If the problem goes earlier, we stop the operation. If it doesn't end, we continue with the operation until the end of the world. Therefore, the government has adopted a national security posture in the management of this scourge. And by this, it must be clarified that as a national security threat, politics, culture, religion, and other antecedents that always cloud our national conversations are removed from this matter. It is purely a law enforcement matter. It's not political, it's not ethnic, it's not religious, it has nothing to do even with the economics of our country. And some of the measures, you will understand, are measures that will include government losing revenue, if that will help us save the nation. In that regard, I am authorized to announce the following measures that will guide this very critical national survival exercise. 1, pursuant to Section 42K of the Preservation of Public Security Act, all licenses and certification permits for second-generation alcohol and alcoholic beverage distillers and manufacturers issued by the Kenya Revenue Authority and the Kenya Bureau of Standards stand suspended with immediate effect. All existing valid licenses will be vetted afresh within 21 days of this directive, with premises approved to resume operations only upon receipt of fresh approval. 2, pursuant to number 1 above, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration invites all currently licensed manufacturers and distillers to a meeting to be held on Tuesday, the 12th March 2024 at 10 a.m. on the above prescription. Due notification, including venue and agenda, will be communicated to those who this information relates. 3, fresh license applications shall require manufacturers to have quality control laboratories installed with gas chromatography, with flame ionization detectors, and this must be operated by competent laboratory analysts and tests incoming raw materials and finished products before releasing them to the market. The laboratories should register with a provider of interlaboratory comparison and submit their quality control results to the Kenya Bureau of Standards on monthly basis. For the avoidance of doubt, fresh license applications shall require manufacturers to have quality control laboratories installed with gas chromatography with flame ionization detectors. Number 4, all alcohol manufacturers shall henceforth establish and document all traders in their distribution chain and have procedures for ensuring full traceability from factory to the consumer of alcoholic products manufactured for sale. All alcoholic products shall include traceability information, including manufacturer details, location, ingredients, and content. Number 5, the Kenya Bureau of Standards shall ensure that within 45 days, all industrial ethanol is denatured or marked with a denaturing agent known as denatonium benzoate to prevent diversion and or the accidental use of industrial ethanol in alcohol manufacture. Number 6, any licenses currently issued to bars and other outlets, premises by county governments that are contrary to the provisions of the Alcoholic Drinks and Control Act, especially as relates to licensing premises within residential areas and around basic educational institutions, are declared null and void. County security teams are to secure and shut down and seize such premises with immediate effect. The licenses that have been issued contrary to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, which is national legislation, which supersedes county legislation. Licensing of bars which are in residential areas, licensing of bars next to educational institutions, all those licenses are declared null and void. And county security teams across the country must enforce the law that I have just cited with immediate effect. Number 7, no bars or alcoholic outlets shall be allowed to operate beyond the stipulated operation hours as provided for in Article 34 of the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, failure to which the operator shall be fined or imprisoned as provided by law, and all the drinks and related accessories in the premises will be forfeited with accompanying licenses being revoked. I also need to clarify that the government has also engaged with the Director of Public Prosecutions and also other stakeholders, including the judiciary, all stakeholders in the administration of justice. And one of the results of that engagement is that the Director of Public Prosecutions has assured the country that its office will be going for auxiliary orders against those who perpetuate the vice of either manufacture, transportation, distribution, sale of alcohol. And those auxiliary orders, which are already provided in law, include forfeiture of any motor vehicle that is transporting narcotics or other illicit substances, that those vehicles be forfeited to the state, and also forfeiture of premises that are used to store merchandise, which falls in the category of our discussion this morning. And number 7, just to clarify that we must respect the laws that exist on hours when bars can be open. And if the hours when bars can be open are provided by law, it therefore means those are the same hours that the people of Kenya can enjoy their leisure in taking alcohol. The people of Kenya must go home when that time expires. They must proceed home. And they must leave before those hours and make sure that they reach home in good time, because I'm told the speed of mobility when one is intoxicated is a bit slow. Because we don't want to collect Kenyans in dirty ditches, so they should go a little earlier. But anybody found taking alcohol or selling alcohol after those hours, we will do what we must. Number 8, all manufacturers, distillers who are aware of counterfeits of their products and fail to report to the Anti-Counterfeit Authority on the same shall be deemed complicit. Licensed manufacturers will be required to furnish county security teams with the geolocation and physical details of their licensed premises, as well as stock records per licensed premises. Any other physical premises stocking, manufacturing, and housing manufactured stocks will be deemed illegal stocks for destruction. Number 9, Section 17A of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act stipulates that a law enforcement officer or public officer who aids and abets any offense under the Act, including concealing the commission of any offense and collusion, shall be liable to punishment. In this regard, officers abetting, concealing, or colluding with any person to commit an offense under the Alcoholic Drinks Act or even under the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Act shall be liable in accordance with the law. The policy has also been given that no person who undermines the interests of our national security will be transferred. No officer will be transferred if they are culpable of undermining our national security interest. We'll find a way of expediting your removal from service in the shortest time possible, and the other things we can discuss, including if you take us to court, we know what to do when you take us to court, and we are patient enough to wait for hearings and appeal until the Supreme Court. By that time, Kenya will be on the move. Further, number 10, and in line with the Public Ethics Act, all public officers in the enforcement and compliance chain, namely the Kenya Revenue Authority, the Kenya Bureau of Standards, and the Anti-Counterfeit Authority, Public Health, NACADA, Ngao, National Police Service, and everybody else, shall not own and operate a bar directly or through a proxy. All public officers currently operating such premises are required to shut them down or resign from the service with immediate effect. Cross-referencing of the Public Service with the Public Service Commission, National Police Service Commission, and distinct agency staff records shall be undertaken to ensure compliance thereof. Number 11, all landlords or premises owners shall be deemed aiders and abettors thereof and be liable for renting out space for establishment of bars, wines and spirits outlets in prohibited areas pursuant to Section 20C of the Penal Code, Cap 63 of the laws of Kenya. 12, all chemists and agrovets must submit their licenses to the Pharmacy and Poisons Board and the Veterinary Medicine Directorate for verification within 30 days from today, failure to which they shall be deemed unlicensed for closure. all licensed and non-compliant drug manufacturers, agrovets, and chemists are to be shut down with immediate effect. The list of currently approved and licensed establishments have been shared with county security teams for reference. 13, all licensed pharmacists and veterinary doctors dispensing prescription drugs without prescription shall be deregistered. All licensed chemists, all pharmacists, and agrovets, when issuing prescription drugs, shall mandatorily issue a certification of the issuing chemist or agrovet, name and license number of the issuing officer for purposes of tracing or traceability. 14, all vehicles, buildings used in storage, manufacturing, trafficking in illegal drugs, illicit brews, and alcohol shall, pursuant to Section 74 of the Narcotic Drugs and Psychotropic Substances Control Act, be seized and deemed to be government property. 15, the Ministry of Interior and National Administration and the Ministry of Health shall put in place measures for branding and color specification of all alcoholic and tobacco distribution vehicles. Further, such products are to be transported between the hours of 6 a.m. and 6 p.m. only. The guidelines to be issued within 14 days from this directive, with manufacturers expected to secure full implementation within 45 days. 16, a multi-stakeholder approach has been instituted to strengthen surveillance, enforcement, and compliance at all levels, led by the national government administrative officers who are the chairpersons of the security and intelligence committees in their various jurisdictions. 17, surveillance at the border points will be undertaken through a multi-agency framework with key actors including the Kenya Bureau of Standards, Immigration, the Kenya Revenue Authority, the National Police Service, and the Anti-Counterfeit Agency. 18, to enforce compliance on package or packaging according to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, the Kenya Bureau of Standards shall within 60 days from the date hereof review the guidelines on the minimum quantity of alcoholic drinks to enhance the same from 250 milliliters to 750 milliliters or higher. 19, all enforcement agencies shall undertake integrity vetting of all officers manning our border points, highways, and regional offices. Only officers of integrity and good standing will be appointed to conduct surveillance at the border points and highways, especially Namanga, Isebania, Moyale, Isiolo, and all the other affected areas. 20, the importation, manufacture, sale, use, advertisement, promotion, or distribution of shisha is outlawed in the country. Any establishment found in breach of this provision will be shut down with immediate effect. County security teams are required to enforce this prescription without fail. 21, the labeling and packaging of all tobacco products in Kenya must comply with the provisions of the Tobacco Control Act of 2007 and the Tobacco Control Regulations of 2014, products that do not comply must be withdrawn from the market immediately. 22, the National Treasury is urged to fast track the harmonization of custom and excise duty of ethanol within the East African region to prevent arbitrage within 45 days. Further, within 60 days, the National Treasury shall conclude taxation proposals towards the following: A, incorporation of a model of taxation based on alcohol content. B, review the taxation framework for beer and other non-spirituous alcoholic drinks to mitigate the risk of harmful effects. And C, mandatory adoption of digital Kenya Bureau of Standards and Kenya Revenue Authority stamps for all alcohol and alcohol-based products, and the withdrawal of physical stamps. 23, the Ministry of Health is urged to issue directives for all level 3 and above hospitals to establish dedicated rehabilitation wards or facilities for victims of substance abuse, drugs, and illicit alcohol in line with the existing norms and standards and in consultations with the county governments. 24, Parliament is required to prioritize and fast-track the processing of all legislative interventions towards amendments to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act, the Tobacco Control Act, the Public Health Act, the Pharmacy and Poisons Board Act, the Veterinary Medicines Directorate regulations, and other accompanying regulations. In particular, the amendments to the Alcoholic Drinks Control Act shall ensure that county licensing is conditional on receipt of a clearance certificate from NACADA as a precondition for the issuance of license to sell, distribute, and otherwise deal with the alcoholic drinks. 25, all county security committees have received the existing approved and licensed lists of manufacturers, distillers, pharmacists, and agrovets. The committees are hereby directed to shut down and destroy all illicit manufacturing installations, distilleries, agrovets, and chemists not within the approved list of licensed enterprises within 10 days of this directive. County Security Committee members will be held personally liable and subject to disciplinary action where an unlicensed manufacturing installation, distillery, agrovet, or chemist is found operating in their respective jurisdiction. Community and neighborhood committees and members of the public are required to support this initiative through the designated toll-free line 1192. I repeat, community and neighborhood committees and members of the public are invited and even required to support this initiative through the designated toll-free line 1192. Since this is a national security threat, the obligation of individual citizens to support this cause is also mandatory for the sake of our nation, because the duty to protect our nationhood and our constitutional order is a duty that binds every state organ, every arm of government, but it's also a duty that binds every individual. We must protect our nation together. Officers will be available to receive any complaints and concerns relating to the manufacture, trade, transportation, storage and consumption of illegal alcohol, drugs, and other substances. In conclusion, fellow Kenyans, the government appreciates the political leadership in Parliament, both houses, the National Assembly and Senate, and our 47 county assemblies within the Republic, county governors, leaders, and other leaders for their support in this war. We appreciate in particular the county governments that have adopted the county model laws. The government further appreciates the members of the public who routinely engage security officers to share information and reports on illicit and illegal alcohol, drugs, and other substances. This administration has made it abundantly clear that illicit alcohol, drugs, and substance abuse will not be tolerated in any form whatsoever. The need to demonstrate this cannot be gainsaid. In keeping with the administration's commitment, we as state officers here and our colleagues who are not here are bound to take responsibility and to meet the full consequences for any political and social ramifications. We are ready for this task. This operation is a national security operation and fall entirely within the remit of the law enforcement machinery of the state and its multi-agency collaborators. Political, business, religious, and other leaders are requested to abstain from interfering with this war so that we don't falter, as has happened in the past, because we must win the war. We must save Kenya. We must save our children from perishing. And this is the statement from the government of Kenya. Thank you, Excellency.